What's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk about a very specific movie, thriller horror right on the spectrum, directed in 1988 by David Cronenberg by the name of Dead Ringers. The film stars Jeremy Irons, who plays a set of twins that are doctors, specifically gynecologists, who swap roles and switch without anybody else knowing. Now, the reason I want to talk about this movie is because I think Jeremy Irons is an amazing actor, especially for roles like this. These dark, kind of unsettling roles that make you question the character in detail. B, because I feel like it went very unnoticed. This movie is based on the novel Twins, written by Barry Wood and Jack Gleason. It's a fictional novel, but it is loosely based on a true story about twin doctors living in Manhattan. The reason why I find this movie so fascinating is it really holds up to that thriller and horror aspect very well without going overboard. I think that it is very unsettling and questions very interesting topics. You know, for one, obviously, with almost any film that deals with twins, you have to think about identity and what it means to be oneself and how we are as individuals. Seeing Jeremy Irons switch between Elliot and Beverly is so fascinating because you really are seeing acting at its peak of art. The performance in Dead Ringers almost reminds me of like a Daniel Day-Lewis sort of performance, where it is just astonishing to watch. The character of these twins really shows you that they are two different people. And just the concept itself of a gynecologist, a very famous and successful one, having an identical twin brother and them interchanging between each other, not only towards patients but people in their life outside of that as well, is a very unsettling thought. The way they treat each other as well as people outside of each other is what we really see on screen. We see the true behavior of one twin come out and the other come out, but yet they are twins, so something between them is common. Besides the great use of body horror in the movie and tools like image splitting, where David Cronenberg is able to show both twins at the same time, is that this movie just feels cold. It feels like what you would think of a hospital. It feels emotionless, it feels dead, it feels cold. And that is the unsettling feeling that really comes through. But then as the story progresses, you could begin to question the morality behind each one and whether there is a good one or a bad one, or does everybody have a little bit of good and bad. It also brings up a lot of questions regarding gender, misogyny, and what it means to be a human. Although the two men have each other as brothers, the way that things are going for them in their life is kind of separating them apart. We really begin to see the loneliness and isolation creep in, and it only gets worse over time. Emotions really begin to rise and fester in a way that is very, very uncomfortable. When watching this film, it really feels like you're sitting behind a two-way mirror and observing this laboratory experiment. We're watching how each twin interacts with the outside world, how each twin behaves with each other, and how the people they interact with them, especially when they switch, but yet that person doesn't know about it. The movie really does a good job of showing how these brothers kind of work together to face the outside world. It's almost like they have these tactics and strategies. For example, Beverly being the more shy and less confident guy, having more trouble with, finding and speaking to women as well as just gauging in sexual relationships. Elliot is the one that can pass off partners to him without anyone ever knowing. This is a very creepy concept, but it makes you think what it's like for identical twins to live in this world. Does it feel like us against them? As we see the brothers struggle with themselves the outside world, the relationships that they're in. We see the drug abuse and drug withdrawal happening in front of us. The one thing that I really wanted to finish off with here is the fact that this is based on true events. Now, the movie doesn't follow a story A to Z, but it is loosely based on the twins Stuart and Cyril Marcus. Stuart and Cyril Marcus were twin gynecologists who lived in New York City. I believe they were born in 1930 or the early 30s, and both died in 1975 at the age of 45. Just the idea that there were these twins who were in this field together, and the possibilities of what could have been happening at the time, being very successful and being in the situation they are, and then both being found dead with no real reason. There were only assumptions made to how the brothers died. I don't know what the official report was, but I think it was that it was a withdrawal from barbiturates. However, there was a suspicion of maybe a suicide pact or something even more eerie. A very strange story, unlike anything else, displayed on the screen very well and acted tremendously. I think this movie goes under the radar, and if you're a fan of thrillers and horror, this is the movie for you.